One. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor. Pleased to welcome you to tonight's July 26th, 2023 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. In just a couple moments, we will begin the open forum portion of our meeting. The open forum is the opportunity for members of the community to speak to the board, share any comments or questions you may have with the town board. You can participate in the open forum here in person, but you can also do so if you're joining our meeting remotely. If you are with us remotely and you're watching either on our YouTube live stream or the cable access channel, you'll have to log into the Zoom version of our remote meeting in order to participate in the open forum. There are detailed instructions for logging into Zoom and logging into that meeting on the Town of Brighton webpage, www.townofbrighton.org. As we do at every town board meeting, we make our meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community. We have our ASL interpreters. Thank you both for being with us tonight. If you're interested in the agenda for tonight's meeting and you're here in the room, it is on the back table. And if you are with us remotely, it is available to be reviewed on the Town of Brighton webpage. I'll ask everyone that's able to rise for the pledge. I'll ask Councilmember Wilt to lead us tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will now begin the open forum. As I mentioned, it's an opportunity for members of the public to address the board concerning a matter, any matter, relating to the town, whether or not it is on our agenda this evening. If you're here in person and would like to speak during the open forum, simply raise your hand and we'll recognize you. If you're speaking, if you're at the meeting remotely and would like to speak, again, please make sure you're on the Zoom and use the raised hand function in Zoom in order to speak. I would ask all speakers during the open forum, whether in person or remotely, to please state your name and address. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I will give a 30-second heads up before the time expires. We may not be able to answer questions tonight, particularly if your question relates to a matter that's not on the agenda. But our goal tonight and during every meeting is to give the public the opportunity to share concerns that you have, share your thoughts, and for us to be able to listen to your words. So please direct your remarks during the open forum to the town board and not to the room or to other speakers. Please refrain from any personal attacks or from outbursts of any kind during the open forum, out of respect for the speakers and for everyone and the time of everyone here tonight. So I will ask, is there anyone that would like to address the board during the open forum? And I don't see anybody remotely. I did have an opportunity to speak with a couple of folks that are here tonight and discuss with them the situation they're here to see us about. And as I mentioned, we're going to be, it's going to be the subject of some discussions going forward. So thank you for being here tonight.
Bill, if we have no one on the open forum, I move to approve the agenda.
Thank you, Chris. Can I have a second?
Second.
Let me just make sure. Yes, okay, the agenda is good.
Revision.
And any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Next are committee reports. Robin, Community Services Committee.
Certainly. The Community Services Committee met last Wednesday, July 19th.
Among the items that we discussed was an item of communication dated July 17th from George Smith regarding tree damage at Buckland Park. There was a discussion of the need for communication with the new mowing contractor regarding equipment causing damage to some trees in the parks. Our superintendent of parks, Matt Beeman, has already followed up with mowing contracts to try to address the concerns, as well as review our contracts for language regarding fault for property damage. There was also discussion of the potential for volunteer efforts for mulching around significant and newly established trees, as well as tree management in the parks in general. Under items of continuing business, park issues, summer park maintenance, we had a discussion about summer park maintenance in light of the trying weather conditions, inflationary pressure on materials costs, and the robust vegetation growth rates. Our seasonal trail maintenance projects are also underway, including a trailhead rebuild at Westfall Road and Elmwood Avenue trailheads for the Highland Crossing Trail, tree and brush cutback along the Highland Crossing Trail, and coordinating material drop areas so that the department can start the South End Trail rebuild at Corbett's Glen in August. Brighton Town Park Playground will be removed this season in anticipation of replacement in 2024. Stay tuned on that. We also discussed seating and shade around playground equipment in light of enhancing accessibility. We're exploring different options for seasonal labor positions, as the department still has one vacancy for a part-time seasonal labor position out of the 4 positions that we anticipated filling for the season. 3 of those part-time seasonals will be finishing in mid-August, so we anticipate heavy workloads for crews for the remainder of the season. We had a discussion of pay rates for part-time seasonal laborers and the need to perform some benchmarking to ensure that we're offering competitive pay and can maintain needed staffing levels. Finally, we had a discussion about the 4th of July festivities. We acknowledged that heat hindered early attendance, but music, food options, and fireworks display were extremely successful, and in the evening events were very well attended. An update to our recreation program. The Bands at Buckland Park concert series is well underway. We have had a great start with a record crowd of over 400 attendees attending our first show of the Brighton Symphony. Summer camps are also underway with most locations full. The Brighton Town Hall pool is fully staffed, and potential updates to its facilities were discussed. Our Chief Diversity Officer, Miriam Moore, participated in staff training this year to emphasize inclusion and offered particularized training regarding creating safe spaces within all areas of town programming. An update to our inaugural Mighty Motors DPW, Department of Public Works Open House event, which will take place on August 17th at the Brighton Highway Department. We offered some updates. Our farmers market had some updates, including the discussion of ongoing construction of the Brighton High School bus loop, and record numbers of shoppers, music offerings, community, and special events. Our 2024 budget planning is underway within the Recreation Department, with initial materials due on July 28th. And finally, we had a discussion of fall planning, including fall events. An update to the Winters Farmers Market. The walls of the supporting structure have arrived and are being installed on site. Paving is scheduled for the end of July, when the lower portion will be paved. The upper portion will not be paved until the installation of the walls is complete. Public Works Committee will perform a field trip to the site during its August 8th meeting. An update to our Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board. We're in the process of interviewing new members, and we're performing appointments on a rolling basis with recommendations for approval at an upcoming town board meeting. Juneteenth and Pride events at the farmers markets went smoothly, were very well received. The IDEA Board will not be meeting again until September, but will continue to undertake special projects and host visibility events at this farmers market on the fourth Sundays in August and September. An update to our clean energy community priority actions and sustainability funds. We're in the final stages of review of the Climate Action Plan, with presentations having been made at the Community Services Committee and Public Works Committee meetings, as well as at the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory and Conservation Boards. A new NYSERDA Clean Energy Community Grant Awards for $10,000 for having reached the threshold 3,000 points is being accepted to support an air source heat pump installation at Brighton Town Park Lodge. For the additional $5,000 Clean Energy Community Grant Award for being among the first 50 communities statewide to reach the grant threshold, there was a discussion of Buckland Park Lodge window replacement as potential additional project to be considered, as well as the potential of the installation of solar panels at Brighton Town Park Lodge. An update to our Urban League of Rochester Action for a Better Community Town of Brighton First Time Home Buyers Program. We will have a meeting with the Action for a Better Community Greenlining Project on Thursday, July 27th. Lenders seem to be in favor of participating in some type of program, as there's concern with investors coming in and purchasing properties and renting back due to escalating home prices. An update to our council member on your corner. The season is going well, with times being coincident with the Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Advisory Board visibility and celebration events. We did acquire a new tent that is both sturdy and striking and very visible to the public. We'll round out the season with events on the fourth Sundays in August and September. Under items of new business, we did discuss community bike share and e-scooter programs. Hopper did not keep the contract and it folded across the country, so there is a new focus on micromobility and e-scooters and e-bikes, and that is primarily centered in the city of Rochester with a contract with VIO. And finally, an update for upcoming events. As I mentioned, the Mighty Motors DPW Open House will be at the Brighton Highway Department, 1941 Elmwood Avenue, on Thursday, August 17th from 5 to 7 p.m. We hope to see the public there. It seems early to think about it, but our Halloween trunk or treat will take place at the Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing, 2300 Elmwood Avenue, on Saturday, October 21st, from 10 to 11:30 a.m. Our semi-annual electronics recycling and secure document shredding event will take place at the Brighton Highway Department parking lot, 1941 Elmwood Avenue, on Sunday, October 22nd, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Please note the change in date to deconflict from our Halloween trunk or treat. And finally, our upcoming Drug Enforcement Agency semi-annual pharmaceutical take-back event will next occur at the Brighton Town Hall Public Safety Wing, 2300 Elmwood Avenue, on Saturday, October 28th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on August 16th at 9:30 a.m. or immediately following the conclusion of the Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting at the Brookside Recreation Center. We ask that you please do access the building via the Winton Road entrance, and as always, members of the public are invited and encouraged to attend.
Thanks, Robin. You alluded to the status of the pool out back.
Yes.
And its aging. And there was a question posed on one of the neighborhood Facebook groups about splash pads, and I can certainly, there have been some discussions about one or even more splash pads, possibly back there, possibly if the pool is getting close to the end of its useful life, possibly to replace that, and also possibly as part of a community center project. So splash pads are certainly very much on our horizon. And hopefully that's something we can do going forward. The other on that, the second part of the grant, I know the SOC was very interested in the solar option out at Town Park. I think that's a great idea with the incentives that are available. We can really leverage that $5,000. So that's what I'm certainly recommending we do going forward. I think it'll also be a very visible indication of the commitment, one more visible indication of the commitment to the community, to, of our sustainability efforts, and specifically our intent to make use of solar opportunities. So I
That's
think
wonderful, especially considering the return on investment for the solar array will probably be recouped over the course of 3 years. So
yeah, it looked like it would be a little longer than that based on
Right.
what Everett had pulled together, but not much after we net out the various incentives. It may be 5 or 6 years, but still, that's a pretty good return on
Yeah.
investment. Not to mention the other sort of just the
benefits,
value of
yes,
seeing solar in the community. So thank you for that
very exciting.
review. Jason, Finance Committee.
Yes, the last Finance Administrative Services Committee meeting, I was traveling and wasn't able to attend. However, it was chaired by Councilmember Wilt, and I will yield the floor to her.
Me again. So the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Wednesday, July 19th. Among all of the items that we discussed will appear on tonight's agenda. Notable discussions that we had were, and presentations that we had were with regard to the presentation of the Supervisor's 2023 Town Budget Report for the 6-month period ending June 30th, 2023. And also we had a discussion regarding the Town Board's first draft of the Capital Improvement Plan for 2024 to 2026. The next meeting of the Finance and Administrative Services Committee will be on Wednesday, August 2nd at 8:30 a.m. right here in the Town Hall Auditorium. All members of the public are invited and welcome to attend.
Thanks, Robin. Public Safety, Chris.
Bill, I reported on our July 11th meeting at our last town board meeting, and we have not had another public safety meeting since then. Our next meeting is August 8th at 0800, and the public is invited.
Great. And Christine, Public Works.
Similarly, Public Works has not met since the last town board meeting. Next meeting is August 8th at 9 a.m. or following the close of public safety, should they run long. And of course, the public is invited.
Thank you very much. We have no old business. Moving to new business. Jason, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, earlier this evening, I reviewed claims totaling $945,285.57. Notable claims include to the Depository Trust Company in the amount of $205,448.75, representing annual payment for the 2017, 2018, and 2021 serial bonds for road equipment, road projects, and the HVAC unit at the Operations Center, and of that amount, $195,000 was toward principal. Also to Cardinal Lawn and Landscape, the amount of $3,575, representing payment for hydro seeding on Clover Hills Drive and the Farmers Market. Also to Iroquois Rock Products / Dolomite Group, the amount of $93,961.08, representing payment for asphalt for Poplar Way and Doncaster Road. Also to Suit Coat Corporation in the amount of $22,400.89, representing payment for oil and stone for surface treating Clover Hills Drive. And finally, to Scanex Pipe Services, Inc., in the amount of $162,197, representing payment for sewer rehab on Georgian Court, Chelmsford Road, Highland Avenue, and Landon Parkway. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePoncio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Jason, why don't you do the next one, too?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the transfer of $3,250 from the budget of the Department of Public Works full-time wages Planning Technician 2 account to the part-time wages account. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Any discussion on that matter? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Christine?
The next matter seeks to amend the non-represented facilities department title of laborer to cleaner senior. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
To put a name to that, it's Peter Massoth, our evening cleaner, who's working somewhere here in the building as we speak. This change better reflects his, the full character of the work that he does.
Bill, the resolution does one other thing. It places Mr. Massoth in Step 5 of Group 1, effective July 22nd, and maintains his annual anniversary for future step increases as November 18th.
Correct, yeah. Further discussion on that matter? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Robin?
Certainly. The next matter seeks to set a public hearing for August 23rd, 2023 for the removal and replacement of a 48-inch silver maple at 139 Greenaway Road, a 44-inch Norway maple at 235 South Landing Road, a 32-inch silver maple at 500 Winton Road South, a 50-inch silver maple at 272 Sylvan Road, a 30-inch Crimson Spire oak at 165 Avalon Drive, and a 38-inch white ash at 150 Wilshire Road. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Everett, do you want to talk about these?
Yeah, sure. So these are all trees that have been evaluated and been found deficient for one or another reason due to health or safety concerns. I took a look, and all these trees are rated 12 on our hazard rating, which is the highest. They are trees that have been deemed significant because they're 30 inches or larger, and therefore they require a public hearing as part of our town code.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio,
Aye.
Councilmember Werner,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt,
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado,
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. We have 5 resolutions, our last 5 items of new business, all of which relate to proposed extensions to the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District. Before we act on them, I want to make everybody aware of some discussion between the town clerk and the town attorney relating to publication dates and therefore when the public hearings can be held. And although the resolutions that you have in front of you talk about an August 9th date, that would require a publication quicker than can be arranged. So I would ask that as you handle each one of these resolutions, and since they're really public works items, I'm going to give them to you, Christine, that you note the fact that the public hearing will actually be held on August 23rd.
Absolutely. Good to be within the proper time frame on all of these.
So to that end, I'll let you start with proposed extension 7.
The next matter seeks to set a public hearing for an extension 7 to the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District, setting that hearing on August 23rd at 7 p.m. And let's see if we have the detail of which
That's
extension that
Roby
is.
Drive.
Roby Drive. So Roby Drive Extension 7, public hearing on August 23rd at 7 PM. I move that we adopt.
Roby or Avalon?
I think that first, I'm getting to it in the agenda, that first one I drafted, I thought was Roby.
I think it might be
Scanning.
295.
I think-
Oh,
I
Avalon.
think
Yes,
they-
it is Avalon.
It's
Oh, that's
Avalon. I
switched.
think
All
they
right.
renumbered them, rearranged them to go by number.
Just to confuse me. Okay, so
Avalon.
actually, this one is for a single property to be added to the consolidated sewer district, that property located at 295 Avalon Drive.
Correct.
Did I say sewer? Refuse.
Refuse, yes.
Refuse. Yes.
Refuse, yes.
This all points to the value of consolidating everything so we don't have to do this all the time.
Well, yes, but, I mean, you know, neighborhoods can form, ask to be added to the consolidated refuse district, and so we do need to go through this process to do those extensions.
Yes, absolutely not dismissing the importance of the process, but certainly the end result
Yep.
makes things much more consolidated. So wrapping it all up, I move that we set that public hearing for August 23rd at 7 PM.
Second.
And I would just note, you know, when we look at these all together, there are several hundred properties that will be added based on our understanding of sort of the rack rate, if you will, the going price that Waste Management or the other companies who provide refuse service are in many cases over $400 a year. Our fees are, I believe, for this year, $287. They will likely go up next year, but still, everybody that joins a refuse district will save, based on current pricing, over $100 per year over the standard rate for those other companies. So I'm going to put a plug in, as I do every chance I get. It's too late for 2024. It's too late for new districts other than the ones we're setting public hearings on for tonight. But I know some of the neighborhoods that are out there already looking ahead, looking to put petitions together to be added to the refuse district going forward. And I'll just say, it will save residents money, and that's what we're all about here. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. The next one.
The next one seeks to set a public hearing on August 23rd at 7 PM for the proposed extension number 11 to include properties on Winslow Avenue, Parkwood Avenue, and Highland Avenue. I move that we set the public hearing per the resolution drafted by the town attorney.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Extension 13.
Give me a moment as I scroll through to get to extension 13. All right, here we go. The next matter seeks to set a public hearing on August 23rd at 7 PM regarding the proposed extension number 13 to the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District, which includes residential properties on Sunset Drive, Meadow Drive, and Orchard Drive. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. 14.
Still scrolling.
Did a great job.
This was a big district, number 13. We're getting up to 14, and here we are. The next matter seeks to set a public hearing on August 23rd at 7 PM for the proposed extension number 14 to the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include all of the residential properties on Roby Drive. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. And finally, 16,
And scrolling.
another one property extension.
All right, and the final matter before us seeks to set a public hearing on August 23rd at 7 p.m. for the proposed extension number 16 to the Brighton Consolidated Refuse District to include the property at 426 Ashburn Road. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Matters of the supervisor? Oh,
I just want to make a comment on all of those refuse district extension and the resolutions. You may have noticed that none of the resolutions mentioned the extension numbers. And that's because I had a conversation with Chad Roscoe, our junior engineer that runs these districts. And really the numbering system that we've used in the past has really become somewhat meaningless. You will notice here that we have 7, 11, 13, 14, 16. So we've got a lot of skipped numbers, and that's because sometimes neighborhoods don't go forward. So trying to have a consecutive numbering system just isn't working. What's important is that we designate the streets and the specific properties, and that's done by the map that is attached, and that's why the resolutions refer to the streets and the map that's attached. So going forward, that's how we're going to be referring to them as specific properties with maps and the streets that that district is being extended
and a
to.
legal description.
Right. There's a legal description for the entire district, exactly,
Yep.
with meets and bounds.
Good, good. I think that will make things easier. Thanks, Ken. Okay, moving on to matters of the supervisor, and I will pass the mic over to our finance director, Earl, who will update us on where we're at mid-year.
Thank you. There is a few slides in the meeting packet to follow along with. And also I want to mention the June 2023 expense and revenue reports will be available on the town website under the finance department as they are posted monthly. On the first page, on the bottom half, we'll begin by talking briefly about the budget plan for 2023. We had $30 million in appropriations for the town funds and almost $11 million in anticipated revenues with $2.3 million in appropriated fund balance. So $16.6 million was raised in taxes, which is about 55% of our budget, and 7.8% is coming from the fund balance. Since 2022 was a successful year financially, it is helpful to benchmark our performance mid-year on where we were last year at this time. So we did a lot of comparing this year in different categories, which we'll talk about in a second. And we are looking, of course, at both revenues and expenditures when we do that. On the second page, you'll see a chart from the New York State Controller's Office, and which is really the newest thing this year. And we've already talked about inflation on different committees and so forth. And you can see here how the New York State's CPI for municipalities has grown. The inflation factor has grown, even though the allowable levy growth factor remains at 2%. This CPI is based on future budgets, so it's looking forward about 6 months. And so we can see that last year we started to feel the effects of inflation, and this year even more so. And of course our planning in 2024 is very much influenced on this issue. So we're going to be focusing over the next 6 months carefully with departments to make sure that we can stay under budget despite the inflation that we're seeing. The next slide below are our revenue and expenditure comparisons through 6 months. The first column there shows the full year budget for 2023, and then the next two columns show the percentage of budget realized through 6 months of this year, and then in 2022, that percentage compared to last year's budget. So for sales tax, we are a little bit under last year at this time, and we know Monroe County in the first quarter and through a couple months data in the second quarter, that sales tax is starting to level out and decrease, so we're watching that carefully. We already saw mortgage tax, which is sent out twice a year, and our first payment was only 35% of what we budgeted for the year, and the lowest payment we've seen since back in 2017. So that the impact of inflation, rising interest rates, which are designed to slow the economy, we're starting to feel that in that area, and likely on sales tax as well. For interest income, we are trying to maximize that as much as we can to make up for these reductions, so we are using our money as wisely as we can. And in the lower half there, you see our expenditure comparisons. I will note that wages seem a little high, but we did have an extra pay date in 2023 compared to 2022, so they are running about equal. Our overtime and benefits remain under control, and the biggest difference we've seen so far in 23 is that our equipment expenses are higher, and that is due to some of our orders that were delayed coming in this year. So the final page just reviews some of the conclusions so far through 6 months, and we just want to note that at inflation factors this high, our purchasing power would be reduced in 10 years. So we are very much watching inflation factors and hoping that they come down quickly. You can see some of the areas where they are impacting the town budget. And so right now, that is our biggest threat to ending the year in a positive note, even though our first 6 months look like they've been on budget. So encumbrances and expenditures are running slightly ahead of 2022, but we are within budget, and our overall revenues are consistent. Again, we need to be monitoring, especially on the expenditure side, to ensure that we come in below our budget for 2023, and we're, of course, in the middle of budgeting for 2024, and doing what we can to make sure that we are successful for next year as well.
Great. Thank you, Earl. I appreciate that report. And your final words there are a good segue because we are in budget season. And we're in the midst right now of developing our capital improvement plan. That's something that is not required for towns, but the comptroller recommends it. And for many years, we have done a 3-year capital improvement plan as part of our budget process, where we plan for significant investments in infrastructure, vehicles and equipment, other significant capital items, and that becomes a really important part of our budgeting process. In fact, it's the first thing we do each year as we prepare our budget. You highlighted a couple of very real concerns that we're seeing from a revenue side, the leveling off of sales tax and even beginnings of some decline in sales tax revenues, as well as the pretty significant fall off in mortgage recording tax revenues. That's a much smaller line than the sales tax line or of course, the property tax line, but it's also our most volatile. And we did see a significant drop-off, and that's something of concern because, as you noted, the causes of that, which really are twofold, mortgage recording is based on new house and new real estate in general sales, and we know, at least on a residential side, there's very little supply on the market. Prices have gone up dramatically, so you would think that mortgage, principal amounts of mortgage would go up accordingly, but there have been fewer transactions just because there's so little supply available. And then on the refinance side, when rates were low, people were refinancing. Now, with mortgage rates over 6, sometimes even 7%, there's almost no refinancing activity left. So that part of the mortgage tax stream, if you will, is pretty much dried up. So I think we can anticipate that is going to continue to be weak, at least for the rest of this year, and we'll have to look at sales taxes very closely. Whenever we see some indications like that on the revenue side, it really catches our attention in terms of our budget development. The Fed raised interest rates again today. While that may help us in terms of interest income, it's certainly going to continue to make some of those items challenging. Brighton has always tried to maintain a very fiscally responsible approach. We have a strong Moody's credit rating, but at the same time, we're committed to providing high levels of service, and in particular, to remain at the cutting edge of programs in sustainability, and DEI. We're going to continue those priorities and those commitments as we go into the budget development process this year. But we also will continue to be focused on the fiscal realities as you've pointed them out in your report. So again, thank you for that, Earl, and we'll continue. And I also want to thank all of our department heads who have really each continued to step up. As you saw, the expenditures have been very close to, if not below, budgeted levels, and that's a function of the great work that our department heads do in running their departments efficiently, and I appreciate that. Changing gears very much so.
Excuse me, Supervisor.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Did you want to have a call for a motion to receive and file?
I do, as a matter of fact. Can we receive and file the second report in the June 2023 expense and revenue reports? Jason?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Second.
Councilmember Councilmember
Sorry.
Corrado?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye, aye.
Supervisor Malin?
aye. Aye. Okay. As I was saying, on a little bit lighter note, my wife Barbara and I last night went over to Tops Plaza to visit Rita's. Rita's Italian Ice, a great destination on hot evenings. And when we got there, we saw Santa and the Grinch. So we knew it was Christmas in July over there at Rita's. But what we didn't realize until we got out of the car is that it was Christmas in July to benefit a local organization supporting children with cancer. This particular organization, Cure Bears for Hope and Love, provides stuffed bears to children fighting cancer here locally, but actually across the country. The organization was founded by Lynn Stiefler, a former pediatric oncology nurse at Strong Memorial Hospital. And her idea was that not only would these bears bring some joy into the life of kids who are, honestly, often don't have a lot of things to feel joyful about, but also raising awareness of the struggles that childhood cancer can bring. While we were over there, I met Mia, and she and her family went back to their car and brought me out this wristband that I'm wearing. It's for raising liver cancer awareness. And I should say, I didn't just meet Mia, I met Warrior Mia, who has been fighting and getting some good news. But I'm pleased that they're continuing to work to raise childhood cancer awareness, specifically in her case, liver cancer awareness. Thank you, Mia, for this wristband, and I wish you and your family all the best. Thank you to Rita's and Joe and Dara Petralia, who own Rita's. 20% of their revenues last night went to the Cure Bears group, which was very, very generous. And thank you to Lynn, who does a lot of work in raising awareness of childhood cancer. And of course, getting some mango ice is never a bad thing either. I would be remiss if I didn't also note this past Sunday night, a real institution in Brighton, Grinnell's Restaurant, closed after about 62 years in business. Matt, and before him, David, the warmth, the service that you felt when you ate at Grinnell's, the minute you walked in the door, Matt would greet you. Before him, David, his father, would greet you. No matter what you were wearing, no matter who you were, you got some wonderful service and some great food. A couple of the media outlets talked to me about them, and one of the things that has always struck home with me, you know, here's a restaurant that had 6 parking spaces, but was able to survive and thrive and be that institution in Brighton for over 60 years because they had arrangements worked out with other nearby businesses that weren't so parking intense at night. So kudos to the Grinnell's family. We'll miss that great restaurant. I know there's some plans going forward that I really can't talk about at this point, but I'm hoping that it won't be long before there's another new institution that'll be getting started on that location. So I have nothing more. Matters of the town attorney.
Just a few brief remarks, Bill, thanks. I just want to personally and publicly thank each and every one of you on the town board, and Dan, you as well, and all of my colleagues on town staff for the support over the last week and a half. It has meant a great deal to Julie and me. And Bill, I love the fact that the wristband is green.
I noticed that too. Well, we're with you.
I know, thank
We're
you.
with you. Thank you. Matters of the town clerk.
Nothing this evening?
Matters of the town board.
Nothing.
Then can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFoncio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. I want to thank our ASL interpreters. We don't always give you such a short night, but I'm glad we were able to do that tonight. Our next town board meeting will be on Wednesday, August 9th, right here at 7 p.m. I do not expect that we'll be going out back into public session after the executive session. So I look forward to seeing you on August 9th. Have a great night, everybody.